Hey guys, today I have with me Arvind here, and we will have a mock interview of data science Arvind. So thanks Arvind for joining. And would you like to Arvind introduce yourself first?
Yes. So, as well, good evening. I'm Arvind from Andhra Pradesh, but up to Bangalore. So, for my work, and I used to work with Kotak Mahindra, where it's one of the finance-based company. I've been working with them for past almost three plus years. So it's been since 3.5 years. I've been into various roles. Been moving with different set of clients, where I used to have a large chunk of clients handling in and out around Bangalore, as well as the entire South. From last year, I used to take care of entire South, which includes of 4 states. So then I've been enhanced with new roles, which is the analytics part also comes into my KRA. So then I've been interested in learning these analytics stuff rather than the routine job what I used to do. So then somewhere I got interested and addicted to this field. So then I've just given a break for my work, where I've quit my work to learn more things on this data science. I've been enrolled with one of the organizations in Bangalore, so where I'm currently pursuing the course.
So you are currently pursuing the course.
Yes.
Have you worked in any use case yet, or what is the percentage completion of your course?
It's pretty decent. Almost some 80% of the course got completed. So I was been to this stats, machine learning. So been the advanced topics have been covered. So it's good that I've been working with one of the project also. So it's in one
Okay.
completion stage.
So before this, have you worked in any end-to-end machine learning project?
It's not completely, there's no intent, but a lot of case studies where the initial part of the students take. So I mean, with many of the case studies, but there's no end to end. But the project, what we are doing now, is currently is going to be an end to end project. So it is final
Okay.
evaluation of the next stage.
And your course is how much duration? Is it like 1 year, 2 year course, or 6 months
It,
kind
it,
of?
it, it's 6 to 7. It's been a
Okay.
regular day-to-day course where every day has to be dedicated to that. So the reason I'm taking it second break.
Okay. Okay. So, can you talk about any of your project or any of the work that you have done or you are doing?
Yes. So the recent most recent one is discuss about the most recent project what we are handling as a capstone project is one of the finance based projects. So where my line of interest lies. So this the problem statement goes with whether the loan, whatever the person loan is going to be approved or denied. But it's not that kind of routine project where we have taken the data set from US based territory. So this territory has some of the unique features included in the data set. So before going to the analysis part, we'll try to spend some time on this data part. So what we used to do is we've attained certain attributes from the data. We try to understand what are the attributes and what the significance were going to be. So as we all know that finance has carried out a lot of insecurities by lending the loans. So people who lend the loans, like the banks or MFIs or any kind of private lenders, or so these lenders, whenever they try to lend the loan, so they are trying hard to get the loan back in certain situations. We have seen that in COVID and other scenarios as well. So similar way, the data which we have taken is from past 10 years data. So it ranges from 2004 to 14. So this 10 years data, we have been studying and analyzing some parts. So we found out there is an interesting organization called SBA. So this SBA is present in what do you say in US, where they are increasing the private. So they are increasing the private organizations where they are trying to increase the employability by encouraging both banks as well as the initial startups, the persons who are trying to build some certain startups. So whenever we were trying to go and fetch loans on business side, obviously there is a lot of what you say risk involved in it, because it's not the loan which is linked with your monthly salary. It's always profit driven, so it's always market based loan. So they have a lot of insecurities. There are a lot of risk profiles are coming into the pool of the bank. So our part of analysis lies in this, like where we have to be in that win-win situation for bank as well as what do you say the customer as well as SBA also. So SBI here, what it does is it encourages the private lenders by also encouraging the banks. Like, look, give the loan to this person. I felt this loan, this profile is going to be interested. But if you face any risks while recovering the loan, so here some part of a risk is ceded to them. That means whenever the loan gets liability, so the part of loan is getting ceded by the SBA. They'll pay some 50 to 60% of the loan to the bank, not by the customer is no need to pay. So the SBA people will come and settle that loan, whatever the amount ceded to. But still, there are some part of risk accepting. So what we are trying to study is understanding the patterns of that data where the loans are going to be defaulted. So our line of business is completely on the business loans, not on regular vehicle loans, housing loans, where the risk assigned time there is always minimal. So we were going behind these kind of profiles. So we have taken all set of what you say approved loans only. So based on that, we are trying to figure out how many are already charged off.
What was the source of data? Where from you took data?
So we have taken some Kaggle.
Kaggle, okay.
Yeah. So it is a new SBA data set. So it's a good case study where they were giving some insight to statistics students. So it's been almost some 4 lakh examples were there with the data. So those 4 lakh examples we have considered and trying to figure out this model. The good thing is that they're also increasing the employability rate there. So we are also trying to go in some aspects also, and they're also done the sector-wise analysis. Like if I come in with food sector startup, so I have different set of profile or different set of risk involved in it, and based on the employability I create there, so I have a higher probability of approving my loan, and certain part of risk can also be ceded by the bank. So there is a kind of sector-wise analysis is also performed there. So that's how it's going.
So how did you solve this problem technically, machine learning wise?
So when it comes to machine learning, so firstly we thoroughly studied about the data, and based on the past knowledge what I have, so I've been analyzed some of the key key features were there. As I said, there are almost 4 lakh examples. I mean 4 lakh data rows of examples we have. So try to figure out all the features along with the rows. So then the basic EDA part we have done. The basic EDA part involves many missing values, and there are certain outliers also. And these missing values were maybe missed at random, or there is a particular pattern. So we try to figure out these things. So before going to model stage. So then after completing all the EDA part, we've taken one of the domain experts also, where my ex-colleague. So we try to figure out good amount of knowledge from him. So then based on the knowledge that I possess, so we try to build the model first, starting from the baseline. So we started with logistic regression. Then after we started building multiple baseline models, and whichever the model is giving us the best accuracy, we are just tuning those parameters and trying to make the model generalized.
Okay. So you spoke about missing value, right?
Yeah.
What according to your understanding, what could be the different regions of missing value?
So there can be many, there can be a set of possible reasons why there can be intended data entry errors, where the value which is missing is not purely a missing value, where there can be a data entry by chance, or the missing values in the sense the data they have not recorded well. Like when we are collecting the samples, so people may not give you full length information on each and every feature what we ask for. So there can be this kind of missing values, or simply missing by chance. So the inability to capture that record while we collecting the sample. So this can also be the possibility.
So in your case, it's a classification model, right?
Yes, binary class.
What is your target variable? Default or non-default?
There is the target variable is charged off for PAF, which is nothing but your fully paid or charged off. Charged off refers to the person who got defaulters, and fully paid are the ones who are successfully paid the loan.
So what is the distribution of these in terms of percentage in actual data?
Actual data, there is almost 60-40 percentage. That means 65-35. So there is little scope for imbalance is also there, but we try to go try with the original data and trying to check the model performance.
Okay.
So if we
So
found
in this kind of scenario, you are getting 65-35. But in many scenarios are there where you will have a highly imbalanced data, right?
yes.
So what kind of different techniques you are aware of to take care of that part?
There are certain methods which I am personally aware of to treat this imbalance, where we can alter the ratios of the proportions by taking good amount of sampling techniques like upsampling, where we are trying to increase the minority class. That means the class which is in lower proportion. So then downsampling obviously will reduce the class which are having a higher proportions. And similar way, there is best technique which personally aware is more this synthetic minority oversampling technique, and I feel these were the techniques where I come across.
Do you know how SMOT works?
So what it does is it takes the lower what do you say the classes which is having the lesser proportions in the data, and just it will give you some random what do you say oversampling technique. It will just give you more set of examples, and it will try to reduce the bring down the classes which is almost 50-50 or 50-50 percentage of things. It will mainly focus on the lower concentration of proportions, where trying to bring the proportions equal to both the classes.
So how it will do that? Will it duplicate the records?
Actually, no. In the sense, I personally not used it, but I'm just aware of how these mode works.
Okay, fine. So you spoke about upsampling and downsampling, right? Tell me one disadvantage of both these approaches.
So I feel reducing the data is obviously what you say. It's obviously disadvantage. I feel, because the things when we tried hard to collect the samples. So based on the proportions, we are trying to reduce the proportions of reduce the n classes. So obviously, I say that is a disadvantage, because we are trying to somewhere trying to not having a clear picture of what the original population is. Maybe the population belongs to exactly to that proportions. So we are not truly finding out the original relationships there. We are not. We are losing out the original relationships there based on the imbalance data. Maybe we could have done some more better ways to treat this, but reducing obviously reducing the samples or reducing data which is having it to it. It's not a good choice.
And for example, if we are talking of imbalanced class scenario, right? So we have been speaking about creating some balance kind of thing. Suppose what is the problem if let's say 98% data is from one class, 2% of data is from other class. We try to train a machine learning model. Then what is the problem?
So whenever we apply directly on imbalanced data, like the model, whatever the machine learning model, we try to teach the model whatever the learnings it has come. It's more of a biased learning towards the measure of the examples what it has seen for. So it doesn't have so much data that it can learn from the lower balance data. See, out of 100 examples, if you have 98% of the examples of class 1, so it's more of a tens. It gives it has tried all permutation and combinations of that class. Whereas when it comes to the lower class, which we don't have enough examples, that means the machine is not able to understand whatever the required set of permutation and combinations of that class. So whenever we don't have specific examples for that class, obviously the results will not up to the mark. It can run based on the training data what we can give the somewhat good results if we do some of the method, but when it's seen a truly unseen data, so it might not go the results as per our expectations.
Okay. So you spoke about logistic regression, right?
Yeah, that's where we started, but as a logistic regression didn't give us the best parameters, the expectation.
Okay. So what was the model you finalized?
So we are trying to figure out the things till the decision tree is giving good set of the class matrices. So still some sort of analysis is still further analysis. So the decision tree or random forest is thing which we are trying to figure out, but it's been still on hold that we haven't been finalized the model. It's just a basic
Okay.
EDA and the base model preparation has been done, but yes, we're looking
Mhm.
forward to the best model.
So, so you know regression concepts, right?
Yes, yes, most of the machine learning concepts, I kind of aware of those.
So in logistic regression, how do you interpret the coefficients, model coefficients?
Okay, so when it comes to model coefficients, so what we have is what we say whenever a unit change of x, we tends to talk in terms of log outs. So one unit change of x tends to this much change of log outs in target.
Is that all or anything else?
So I feel we can apply exponential there also to take out the log. So there we can get the odds value. So that means one unit change in x tends to the log odds of this value, this target value.
Okay. So let's take an example from your default data only. So in one column, let's say your one independent variable is salary. Okay. Other independent variable is some other feature, for example, text file. All these are your x1, x2, x3. And your target is what you told, PIF for
Mm.
not paying, right? So suppose salary is an important variable. So as salary increases, people tend to default less. Okay. So taking this example, take any coefficient and how would you explain this to business? So how salary is impacting?
Okay, so this salary will observe first the trends and will talk in terms of odds value. So if people are trying difficult to understand the odds value, so then we take out the logarithmic expression there by using specific exponential. So then only we talk in terms of odds. So if the salary increases by 1 unit, the odds of this value. That means the favorable to non-favorable of salary increase by this much. So that way we can convey our results.
And what about other variables? What happens to the other variables?
So whenever we're talking about this, keeping other variables as a constant, say I have x1, x2, x3, I'll say that keeping x2 and x3 as constant, I'll say 1 unit change in x2, I'll say this much change in y. So I'm keeping those things as a constant and then explaining with individual variable what I have.
That is where I'm asking you again and again, what is the second part of your explanation? Right? That is what I'm to get from you. You are not telling that constant thing.
I'm
Okay.
interpreting only single variable with the target. So if we have multiple
Without
variables,
without without keeping constant, it's not. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah,
You took single variable only
single
in your.
variable as a constant. Yes. So
Okay,
if I
okay.
have multiple variables, I'll say I'll have keeping other things constant. I
Keeping
have
other
only
constant.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. What other algorithms do you know well? ML or DL?
No, I'm not stepped into DL as of now. I'm so sorry for that. But ML, if we can talk, we can talk about different algorithms. I'll try to explain things on a different
So
algorithm.
how is support vector classifier different from random forest classifier?
So let's talk about random forest first. So random forest is one of the ensembling technique where we try to increase the prediction power of the model by generalizing it well. So it's just an ensemble where we have n number of the same baseline models. Here it is in random forest, it's decision tree. As a default one, we take the decision trees because it's just a forest of trees. So that's where it being famously known for random forest. So here, what we make use of one of the super sampling technique called bootstrap aggregation. So these bootstrap aggregations helps us to make the n estimators supplying different set of data. So whenever we're talking about the bootstrap sampling, we say some 60% or 63% of the samples goes to each and every estimator. So the rest of the samples of this 37% is which having the probability of not being selected in any of the instance. So that 37% are going to be your test data where we can validate.
No, I don't want you to explain me entire random forest. Tell me the difference between random forest and support vector classifier. What kind of data will on this good? What kind of data will work on that better? Something like
So
that.
when it comes to pure differentiation, so we can think of it support vector machines are make use of kernel tricks where it just take you to higher level dimensions and try to predict the models. Where we try to find tougher or harder to segregate in other machine learning algorithms. We try to get probably a good amount of results up to certain extent by using support vector machines. So it does the job by using kernel tricks. And whereas at random forest, it's purely an ensemble where we are trying to generalize the model well, where we are trying to reduce a certain amount of bias or variance. So we are concentration more on the generalization part when it comes to random forest. And as I said, it makes use of so and so sampling techniques and give us an overall ensemble method. On an otherwise, support vector machines are something where you try to get the data or get the classifications done on a difficult set of difficult set of classifications. When we have
okay. So how good are you in Python out of 10? 10 being maximum.
it was my answer not good, too good at coding, but it's okay. Some 6 to 7. Think of.
Okay. So have you been object-oriented Python or just Python
No,
for data?
I'm from mechanical, so I was a little slow on object-oriented programming, but I've not learned yet. I'll be looking forward once I'm good with basic Python, which is required for data science.
Okay. So do you know data types of Python?
Yes, there are numeric data types and strings, as well as collection types, which is a list, tuple, and dictionary sets, and Boolean data types. So these are some of the data types.
Okay. So have you used list in your work?
Yes.
So suppose there is a list with 5 elements. Okay. Create a list A with 5 elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the next statement, I write print A. Okay. Bracket 10 colon close big bracket, which means I want to print the 10th element, last element of the list. You got my question?
So sorry, that you said list is having of 5 elements.
Only 5 elements. I want to print starting from 10th index till last. What will happen if I print that?
So I feel we get an index error because our list consists of only 5 elements.
How do you print last 2 elements of the list?
So we can make use of till all the elements to -2. So only last 2 elements if we want.
Only last 2 elements.
We can starting from -2 to till end. We can.
What is the syntax for that?
A and that the slicing index and -2 it's to till end. Starting with the -2 index. So last 2 indexes.
Okay. Have you used dictionaries?
Yes.
How do you get all the keys of the dictionary together in a list?
So we can get a dot like if my storing in a, so a dot keys will give you the output of keys.
Okay. So I have 2 tuples, tuple A and tuple B. Tuple A is storing some elements, tuple B is storing some elements. I want a third tuple has values of both A and B. How to do that?
So values of both A and B either we can chip the values, but tuple doesn't encourage me to make any changes inside it, but we can chip up the tuples to get a third tuple inside.
Any other way?
Tuples. I mean, the question is A has one tuple inside it. Say suppose two attributes, two elements.
A itself is a tuple. There are some values. B itself is a tuple. There are some values. I want a new tuple. Okay, which have values of A and B both together in one tuple.
What I do is I'll just convert that two tuples into list, then I'll append it and finally convert into tuple.
Okay.
So that can be one approach.
That can be one approach you're saying.
Yes.
Okay,
No, this can be one of the approach I need to say.
Yeah, I got it. So in Python, do you know what is the underscore init function? Underscore init.
So again, it's just an initializer where I was not so good at the object-oriented programming. So still,
Okay,
I was
so
my line of interest lies on with stats and machine learning. So doing pretty okay with Python, but object-oriented programming, yes, I have to study it. So going days forward, I do that.
okay, cool. So you have used pandas.
Yeah.
Pandas you have used, right?
Yes.
So in pandas, suppose I want to join two tables. How to join that? Join means SQL join I'm talking about.
Either we can merge it or we can concatenate, we can append it, we can join. So there are these are four approaches where we can.
Four approaches, but how concat is different from merge?
So merge there we can specify the specific set of what you say the join type, like on which columns you want to merge and what kind of joint you want, like left in. So concat we don't have that luxury, so it can take either on horizontal concat or vertical. Your axis is 1 or 0. So that way concatenation works. Where merge we have that luxury to choose which kind of join you want and what columns you want to merge.
Okay. Otherwise, concat and join are same. You are saying. Apart from this difference.
Apart from this difference, I mean to say more or less same, because merge it takes only two things at a time it can join, whereas concatenate it can take many other like 3-4 things can also be joined by using concatenation. Merge can join two things at a time, I feel.
Okay. And so you are good in how much would you rate in stats and mathematics fundamentals?
Maths fundamentals I have to think about, but statistics which is required for what do you say this data science, I was somewhere familiar with the concepts.
So tell me one thing, there is a curve. So when I say curve means equation, right? So on any point, if I draw a tangent, right? What is the mathematical meaning of that tangent?
So that we generally call the slopes. So the tangent is nothing but the slope percentage of change in y with respect to change in x.
Any other simpler explanation or anything you want to add here?
I mean, those tangents were single line points. It touches the curve. So I feel I was sure about that. These acts as slopes, right? Slopes in the sense what do you say? The change in x with respect to y, something like that. We'll say with respect to one other variable, whatever the change we observed with respect to x. So in y, so that change we generally called as slopes.
Do you know what is the difference between local maxima and global maxima?
Yes, the global maxima is somewhere where when we are taking about the particular curve, it has only one maximum point. So when we have a local maximum there can be many, like when we are talking about this gradient descent, so we have or one of the uh, gradient descent, to be honest, so we can say that there is, when we are making use of convex functions, so we have y minus y bar, y actual minus y projected whole square. So whenever we make use of this kind of quadratic functions, our line of function which is lying is called convex function. So there we come across with only one global minimum. So there we tend to eliminate the local minima. So these convex functions property is something called they carry only one global minimum. But when we talking about the polynomial regression, say when we raise the power, so that's where the convex functions properties are lose out, where we come across with many more local minima there.
Okay. What are different probability functions you are aware of, distribution functions?
Probability distribution functions like normal distributions, then standard normal distributions, then chi distributions, F distributions. So there are certain distributions, but to be precise, I was good at knowing the terms, but not in-depth analysis of them. But
Have you used any of these models, probabilistic models, before? Have you done some kind of?
Yes, I was make use of these whenever I'm applying some kind of statistical techniques. I used chi-squares and this ANOVA and the normal distribution, where generally most of the people rely on the things which is normal distribution. So I was making use of these distributions on daily basis.
Okay. So talking of statistical significance, right? Explain me what is a p-value with an example.
Okay, p-values one of I feel those are like gate passes. So these are their probabilities which is lying with your test statistics. So to be honest, whenever you're working on some, say, let's stick to the G distribution, which is normal distribution. So here we are finding out what is the probability of lying the value inside my critical region. So these are the probabilities will be given by p-values. Whenever you calculated the critical regions based on your probabilities, like normal distributions or whatever the distribution we are treated in. So we try to calculate what is my acceptance region. If any hypothesis comes, what is my acceptance region to accept that to be stick with my null hypothesis. So these p-values will be supported to in terms of probabilities. Like they will tell you based on the significance. If I say 95% significance, what is the probability of lying my value inside your acceptance region? So that a mathematical representation of that value will be taken care by p-value.
And what is the meaning if p-value is high?
So p-value is high in the sense there is again a threshold, the significance, which is actual business requirement one. So we go with the standard one, which is 95%. So here my aim is going to be, if I want to prove my alternate hypothesis, my p-value has to be less than 5. My whatever the hypothesis I'm making, it has to be on the critical line, so that I can reject my null and stick with my alternate. So these p-values, whenever is going to be high, I'm tend to support my null hypothesis, which is already been existing as true. So to support null, I want to get my p-values greater than 5, at least above 5% of rejection I could not face. Only that inside that 95% of the critical region has to be to accept my null hypothesis.
So I am understanding whatever technical terms you are talking here. Okay. So I know what is null hypothesis. I know what is alternate hypothesis. But there may be a business person who doesn't understand these technicalities. Okay. So suppose you are taking a call, you are rejecting a null hypothesis, right? And you are kind of looking at the p-value, doing some rejecting the null hypothesis, right? So can it be make more simpler for some layman to understand?
Okay, so whenever I'm trying to analyze certain situations, say suppose I go with example like, so if I said that my company profit is greater than last year, okay, or else I've been earned a profit of somewhere around 1,000 crores this year, and to year end on I made 1,000 crores profit. So this is the alternate hypothesis based on the analysis what I've done. This is the alternate hypothesis I'm proven to be true based on the evidence I have. So then I have to prove in front of the organization or in front of the any local governance body. So I have to prove that okay, this is my profit. So if I fail to do that, that means I'm rejecting my own what do you say, my own claim. So to reject or accept that claim, what it comes to me to verify statistically. So these p values were simply used. So if I
Okay.
fail to say that my 1,000 crores profit is not really 1,000 crores, that means I failed to be prove that hypothesis what I made. So this is p values were generally checked to like on what basis, on up to what extent the claim is going to be correct or wrong. The hypothesis what we made is correct.
Okay. So, suppose you and me are working in an organization, okay? This is a scenario I'm giving to you.
Okay.
So, me and you are working in a company, just two employees, me and you, okay? I have opened new company, I have hired you as a data scientist. And there is a friend of mine who is doing some online e-commerce kind of business, okay?
Okay.
So, while you, Arvind, I'm occupied with something. This guy is my friend interested in giving me some business. He or she has some e-commerce platform running. So can you go and understand what kind of use cases or what kind of help or what kind of with our expertise what we can do for these guys? So tell me your approach of first of all, how do you communicate with my friend, and what all steps you will follow to do your analysis?
Okay, so when we are sure with the line of business what we are dealing with, I'll just do some kind of research on my own, like what kind of e-commerce, what kind of attributes are really contributing to e-commerce, and what are hitting factors. So then I go to the search. Then I'll ask what is the actual requirement of him. I try to put a lot of questions on from my side, like what kind of help do you require, or what kind of stage you're in, what kind of industries, or what kind of line of business, which or it's online or offline, and is it into supporting role, or you have enough retailers with you, or you have enough sellers with you, or you're looking for to enhance your what you say customer thing. I'll just put it on the things which he has to answer. So I'll just try to understand all the things, whatever the possible things I can. So I'll be going on doing some geographical analysis where he's when you say about e-commerce, are there any deliveries were happening, or only with the retailers, or it kind of delivery things are also going on, or else I can also think about any kind of new partnerships he want, whether he want to tie up with any good amount of retailers. So that kind of analysis we can also done. And if his a business is already existing, I'll just find out ways to improve it. I'll just figure out my own views, and also teaching like statistically what are the things we can figure it out, just breaking down the problem into different set of buckets, and trying to understand each and every bucket where it can really signifies the organization.
Okay. So for doing any kind of POCs or any kind of statistical test, first thing you need is data.
Yes,
So data also you may ask to them for
yes, yes.
some sample data. Right? Okay, fine. And suppose you are working on a machine learning or data science project, right?
Mm.
And there is a model in place which is running and which is kind of doing the job, and one issue comes in the code, okay, and you are told to fix that issue. So, what approach you will take for that?
Okay, was it previously running good, or
Previously running good, now some issue came in that.
okay? So here I just do some kind of post of things, like the codes which are attached to this are making any problems. So else I'll take the help of the persons who have been worked on the project. So these things, I just understand what is the follow-up codes or follow-up things which are in line with the code. So then I try to put up my own research on that. So I'll try to figure out the root cause analysis of that. So then I'll try to fix the code.
Okay. So tell me one thing, what is your explanation of this gap in your career that is coming now? There is gap in your career right now.
Yes.
So what is
So
your explanation? Yeah.
so this explanation I try to put in a positive way, that whenever we are having a good set of industrial experience, it's always good that you're learning the things on your journey. So whenever I can do the same thing while I'm not quitting job also, but I say that I've taken this career transition more seriously, that I want to anyhow learn the things on a quicker way and more on an efficient way. So I want to dedicate myself to data science community. So on these lines, I'll just try to make the things which is even working for me right now, because the gap which I've taken, it's really helping me for learning the things more peacefully, and trying to focus to be focused more on the learnings what I'm receiving. These things will definitely help me in future, that I can contribute more things as the way I've learned. As usual, I already have a past experience with me, so it's nowhere hurts me when I've taken these 3 to 6 months out of the career gap.
Okay. So I will take a pause, Arvind, and I will try to pass some feedback to you. Is that okay?
Please go on.
So first of all, positive feedback. So thanks for joining on time. Thanks for keeping a non-disturbing background and not having, camera position and audio, all those things. Okay. So these things create a very good impression. That is what I keep telling in my videos. But still, I have people who take the call from mobile, and it doesn't look good, right? So thanks for that. And next thing is, whatever you have learned well. Okay. You told that you have not done deep learning, which is okay. Try to do some deep learning also, which you will do, I know, because you are a harding guy. So try to do that also. And machine learning, whatever you have done, that you know up to a good level. Okay. Statistics also, your knowledge is kind of above satisfactory, but there is always scope for improvement, right? For example, you told you have not used other kind of distributions, these things.
Yes.
And in Python, you need to improve little bit the reading. Nothing you can do without Python, right? Python is your tool. So programming, object-oriented programming also a little bit, and normal programming, it will go away. So object-oriented programming little bit, because people are asking those things now. Huge demand for Python people in market. And one thing I will tell you, if you do not get a job as a data science guy, okay, then there is a huge possibility that you can join a company as a Python guy, and you know slowly transition yourself into a data science guy. So today you join as a Python guy, and you do 1 or 2 use cases machine learning on your own or through the company, and you make next move on Python plus data science kind of role. So if you are good in Python, what will happen is it will open both the doors for you.
Yes, got it.
So huge demand for good Python developers now in market. So that is where I'm saying Python is one must thing to know. Scenario questions also you are able to answer in a good way. So I don't see any problem with that. Okay, that is when you are more experienced, your answers will be more refined. Okay, in scenario based questions. But at your experience level, that is kind of okay. So you will learn on the job. For example, when you go to someone to talk about what business problems they are facing, it's a different ball game altogether. Okay, so you will learn that on the job when you do that. That's not a thing to worry. You will anyway learn with experience.
Yes.
So that's overall my feedback. Any question for me?
Like before the things, like I just want to take some time and appreciate the efforts you are putting in for teaching us a good thing. I found very useful stuff when it comes to the things which are not perfectly taking in our course or whatever the things we have been learning. But I kind of found some useful stuff, and it in fact in much easier way. So I've been thankful for you to supporting us, similar to me, like many other guys who are still figuring out the concepts, which are finding it hard. So I've been on a thanks note for you for all the things that you're done and doing in your free time.
Thanks,
So,
Arvind. Thanks a lot.
and we were expecting some more useful stuff in coming days also. So where we can try to improve on deep learning part, and like I was feeling good when the things I'm learning from your channel. It's been good. It's more kind of realistic based thing, not on only the theoretical ones. But yes, nothing else from my side, and thanks for accepting my request as well. But
Sure, Arvind. Wish you good luck for your job. Since when you will be start looking for job? I mean, after how many months you will go to market?
I mean, it's almost some 88% of the course is done once we submit the capstone project. So we are being enhanced with the final exam. So once we clear those exams, we are being allowed to seek for placement. So my more of the things what I'm trying to spend time is completely on machine learning and statistics. So that's where course comes to an end. Maybe by November 1st or first week of November, we usually seek for placement.
Try to do some deployment also on Heroku or some Django kind of environment.
Yes.
And try to keep a very good LinkedIn profile. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. And try to be active, which you are already. Try to be active and add more people in your network. That will help.
Yes.
If you want, I can give you a lot of contacts. People like you. So I'm counting you as fresher only. Don't mind.
I obviously because I cannot expect the things which I have not done in my past. If you try to make the things get the things from me on the work which I've done, if you still rate me fresher there, I would have felt bad. But these things I'm not started my journey yet. So obviously I've been treated myself as a fresher. So no problem.
So some of the guys who got the job from 0 years experience, right? So I'll hook you up with those guys. You just mail me or ping me or whatever. I'll hook you up with this. Okay.
Sure, definitely. I'll be in touch with you once I come to the stage where I've been done and I've been attending for the interview. So I'll be in touch with you definitely.
I hope this mock interview will help you to face the real interview.
Because this is the right time what I felt, because next month anyhow we'll be facing certain interview. So it's kind of completely new if I didn't face this. But please give me one more feedback that hope this kind of preparation is enough for landing at one position, or still the depth or
yes, that's what I'm saying. Some bit of deployment, some bit of cloud knowledge. Those things you can add, it will look good.
Great.
Some bit of deep learning knowledge.
Yes, definitely. I have one or month time, so I try to maximize most of it.
Also, you can try to just do a surface level preparation. For example, if he asks you deep learning, you can say that I have not worked in depth in any projects, but yes, I'm aware of the concepts. And surface level questions you can tackle.
Yes.
So at least do that level, then you can go deep.
Yes. I mean, not being sorry faced and trying something like learning up to the requirements. So, I'll just definitely take.
Show your learning attitude. Show that you are not running away from anything like that.
Sure, definitely.
So thanks, Arvind. Have a good rest of the night.
Yes, thank you, sir, and good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Arvind. Stay.
Sure.
Okay.
Bye, sir.
Yeah, you too.